The stars looked different from the observation deck of the conquered embassy. Admiral Catherine Reeves stared out at the night sky, wondering if her ancestors had ever imagined humans would one day be considered a minor race in a galaxy full of advanced civilizations. For 8 decades now, Earth had been part of the Galactic Concord, a massive alliance of spacefaring species. What had once seemed like humanity's greatest achievement now felt like a carefully disguised cage. "Admiral, the Viridian delegates have arrived." The voice belonged to her aide, Lieutenant Ryan Ford, a young officer whose career had been spent entirely under Concord oversight. "Thank you, Lieutenant. Let them wait 10 minutes. Small reminders of our dignity are all we have left these days." Ford nodded, understanding the symbolic gesture. The Viridians were among the most powerful species in the Concord, and they never missed an opportunity to remind humans of that fact. When Reeves finally entered the meeting chamber, 3 Viridian officials stood waiting. Their tall, slender bodies and silvery skin made them look almost elegant. But Reeves had learned long ago that beauty and benevolence rarely went hand in hand among the stars. "Admiral Reeves, we appreciate your prompt attendance," said the central figure, High Commander Xilex. His translator unit gave his words a mechanical quality that did nothing to hide the condescension in his tone. "Commander Xilex, what brings the Viridian Defense Force to Earth today?" Reeves kept her voice level, professional. "A matter of security. The conflict with the Nexus Collective has intensified. The Concord Council has determined that Earth requires additional protection." "Additional protection," Reeves repeated. "Or additional oversight." Xilex's face remained expressionless, but the slight twitch of his elongated fingers betrayed his irritation. "The distinction is irrelevant. Earth will now fall under direct Viridian administration. Your defense forces will be integrated into our command structure." "I wasn't aware the Council had issued such a directive. It was decided yesterday. Your representative was present but lacks voting rights on security matters, as you know." "Of course. Commander Greg Martinez had been Earth's representative to the Concord Council for 5 years now, fighting a constant battle against the juvenile race classification that kept humanity from having any real power in galactic politics. Ali, need to consult with Earth's government before—" "This is not a request, Admiral," Xilex interrupted. "The integration begins today. We've already dispatched vessels to your major defense installations." Reeves felt her blood run cold. "Without authorization, your planetary protection treaties authorize Concord forces to take necessary measures during times of heightened threat." Xilex activated a holographic display showing the imposing silhouette of a Viridian battlecruiser. "The Nexus Collective has breached Concord space in 3 sectors. Earth's strategic position makes it a valuable asset that cannot be left vulnerable. Earth is not an asset. It's our home. A home that would be defenseless without the Concord." Xilex expanded the hologram to show Earth's defense fleet, 20 patrol vessels that looked like toys next to the Viridian warships. "Your species has progressed admirably in many areas, Admiral, but your military capabilities remain quaint." After the Viridians left, Reeves didn't return to her office. Instead, she took a private shuttle to the lunar communication hub, where secure channels could reach Earth's most remote outposts without Concord monitoring. "Get me Dr. Allison Wade at Triton Research Station," she told the communications officer. Dr. Wade appeared on the screen moments later, her tired eyes suggesting she'd been working late hours. The Neptune moon base was humanity's farthest permanent settlement and one of the few places where human scientists could work without constant Concord assistance. "Admiral Reeves, this is unexpected. Doctor, what can you tell me about Operation Ararat?" Wade's expression changed instantly from surprised to guarded. "That's an odd question. Where did you hear that name?" "From your research request last month. You accessed classified historical archives relating to pre-contact military initiatives." Wade was silent for a moment. "It's better if we discuss this in person." "That's not possible right now. The Viridians are implementing a military takeover disguised as protection. Soon I may not have freedom of movement." Wade looked around nervously before leaning closer to the screen. My great-grandfather was Admiral Franklin Wade. Before he died, he told me stories, things that weren't in any official record. He said that when humans first detected signals suggesting intelligent life beyond our solar system, some leaders were worried about what contact might bring. That was over 200 years ago. Yes, decades before the Conquered found us. He said they created a contingency plan called Operation Ararat. I've been researching it for years, but most records were deliberately erased. What kind of contingency plan? I don't know exactly, but I found references to construction projects in the outer solar system, far from easy detection, and funding, massive amounts diverted through shell programs. You think they built something? Weapons, maybe, or shelters, or... Wade hesitated. Ships. I've found gravitational anomalies near Triton that can't be explained by natural phenomena. Something big is hidden here. A warning light flashed on Reeves's console. We're being monitored. I need to go. Doctor, whatever you found, keep it quiet. I'll try to buy you time. Back on Earth, the situation deteriorated quickly. Viridian ships took position above major cities. Their troops, advisors, they called them, began arriving at military installations worldwide. Reeves was summoned to the Conquered embassy again, this time to meet with Commander Martinez, who had returned from the council session. They've played us perfectly, Martinez said, his voice low and defeated. The Nexus threat is real, but the Viridians have been planning this takeover for years. They proposed the security measure and had the votes lined up before I even entered the chamber. What are our options? Officially? None. We accept Viridian, protection, and hope they leave when the crisis ends. Unofficially? Martinez glanced around the room, mindful of potential surveillance. Resistance would be suicide with our current capabilities. And what if our capabilities aren't what everyone thinks they are? Reeves asked. What do you mean? Before she could answer, Viridian security officers entered the room. Admiral Catherine Reeves, you are relieved of duty pending security assessment. Please surrender your command codes. On whose authority? High Commander Xylex, acting with emergency powers granted by the Conquered Council. As they led her away, Reeves managed to whisper to Martinez, "Find Dr. Wade on Triton. Tell her to look deeper. Ararat is our only hope." That night, in a secure, holding facility, Reeves gazed out at the same stars she'd observed earlier. The Viridian occupation had begun, and Earth's government was powerless to stop it. Humanity had gained the stars but lost its freedom. But perhaps if what Wade suspected was true, their ancestors had foreseen this day. Perhaps somewhere in the darkness beyond Neptune, humanity's real fleet was waiting. Warships that predated the very empires that now claimed to rule them. The journey to Neptune took longer than usual. Lieutenant Ryan Ford had to avoid the main travel lanes where Viridian patrols now monitored all traffic. His small research vessel, registered to the Lunar Science Academy, moved slowly through the outer solar system, its engines barely making a ripple in space. Ford checked the communication system again. Still nothing from Earth. After Admiral Reeves was detained, Commander Martinez had managed to send him on this mission with a simple message: find Dr. Wade and learn about Operation Ararat. That was 3 weeks ago. Now Earth's communications were heavily restricted, and he had no way of knowing if Martinez or Reeves were even still free. As Neptune's blue sphere grew larger in his view screen, Ford felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold of deep space. Everything he had believed about humanity's place in the galaxy was changing. The Concord wasn't the benevolent alliance he had been taught to respect. It was a system of control, and Earth was just another conquered world. Triton Research Station appeared as a small cluster of lights on the night side of Neptune's largest moon. The station had been built to study the moon's strange retrograde orbit and nitrogen geysers, but according to Reeves, Dr. Wade had found something else entirely. Lunar science vessel requesting permission to dock, Ford transmitted as he approached. Identify yourself and state your business, came the reply. Lieutenant Ryan Ford. I'm here to see Dr. Allison Wade on a matter concerning historical research. There was a long pause before the reply came. Proceed to Docking Bay 3. Dr. Wade was waiting when Ford stepped through the airlock. She was younger than he expected, maybe in her late 30s, with dark hair pulled back in a practical style, and eyes that seemed to evaluate everything they saw. Lieutenant Ford. I wasn't expecting visitors, especially not military ones. Her tone was cautious. Admiral Reeves sent me, before she was detained. Wade's expression softened slightly. Detained. So it started. What started? The end of the illusion that we're partners in the conquered rather than subjects. She gestured for him to follow. Come with me, not here. She led him through the station to her private quarters, where she activated a small device that emitted a soft hum. Signal jammer, she explained. The Conquered claims they don't spy on research stations, but I stopped believing their claims long ago. Admiral Reeves mentioned Operation Ararat. She said you found something. Wade nodded. More than found. I've accessed it. She turned to her computer and brought up a map of Triton's surface. The anomalies I detected led me to an underground structure about 20 kilometers from this station. It's massive, Ford, and old, built before the Conquered found us. What is it? A base, a command center. And if the data I've retrieved is correct, it's one of many scattered throughout the solar system and beyond. Ford stared at the screen. Beyond? You mean in other star systems? That's impossible. We didn't have interstellar travel before the Conquered arrived. That's what I thought too. But the evidence suggests otherwise. Wade pulled up another file. This one showing what looked like engineering schematics. These are designs for ships, Lieutenant warships, massive ones with technology that doesn't match anything I've seen in Conquered vessels. Ford leaned closer, struggling to make sense of the diagrams. How could this be kept secret for so long? The project was compartmentalized to an extreme degree. Different nations built different components without knowing the full purpose. The construction was done in remote locations, mostly automated. And once the Concord arrived, they had no reason to look for advanced technology in places so far from Earth. Who knew about this? Almost no one. A small group of leaders from major nations funded and directed the project. When the Concord made contact, they maintained the secret, waiting to see if the aliens were truly benevolent. She sighed. After the Concord integration began, most project leaders took the secret to their graves. But some, like my great-grandfather, passed down hints to their descendants. Ford tried to process what he was hearing. So we have ships, warships, hidden across the solar system. Not just ships, an entire parallel space program developed in secret, using technology that took a different path than what the Conquered later introduced to us. Wade stood up. I can show you better than I can explain. We need to go to the site. Hours later, they stood in an enormous underground chamber that dwarfed the research station above. The journey had required a specially modified rover to navigate Triton's treacherous surface, followed by a descent through what appeared to be an abandoned mining shaft. But the facility at the bottom was no mine. Soft blue lights activated automatically as they walked through rooms filled with technology that looked both familiar and alien. Not alien like the Concord's technology, but alien in the way it represented a different path of human innovation. What might have been if Earth had continued its own development without Conquered influence. This was built over 200 years. Ego? Ford asked, his voice echoing in the vast space. The initial construction was. The systems have been maintained by automated processes and periodic visits from people like my great-grandfather, those who kept the secret alive. They reached what appeared to be a central command room. Wade placed her palm on a scanner and the entire room lit up with holographic displays. Genetic verification accepted, announced a computerized voice. Welcome, descendant of Admiral Franklin Wade. The largest display showed a map of the solar system with dozens of blinking points scattered throughout, concentrated especially in the outer regions. Those are other facilities, Wade explained. And these, she pointed to, larger indicators are ship locations. Ford counted at least 30 major vessels in the display, some larger than any human ship he had ever seen, and certainly larger than the patrol craft that made up Earth's official defense fleet. If we have these ships, Why have we been living as second-class citizens in the Concord all this time, he asked. Because only a handful of people knew they existed. The project leaders believed the ships should remain hidden until there was absolute certainty they were needed. A last resort. And now? Before Wade could answer, an alarm sounded. One of the displays shifted to show an external view of Triton's surface where a ship was descending. A ship with the unmistakable lines of Viridian design. "They've tracked your vessel," Wade said urgently. "We need to make a decision now, Lieutenant." "What decision?" "Whether to awaken the fleet. Once we do, there's no going back. It would be seen as an act of rebellion against the conquered." Ford thought of Admiral Reeves in detention, of the Viridian ships positioned above Earth cities, of everything he had believed about humanity's place in the stars. "If we don't do it now," he said, "we may never get another chance." Wade nodded and turned back to the console. "Computer, initiate awakening sequence for the Ararat fleet." "Warning," the computer responded. "Full activation requires authorization from multiple command descendants." "We only have one," Ford said. "Then we'll start with what we can," Wade replied, her fingers moving across the controls. "Activate Triton command ship and send emergency signals to all other facilities." Outside, the Viridian vessel was landing. Soon they would discover the entrance to the facility. "Activation sequence initiated," the computer announced. "Command ship Defiance powering up. Estimated time to operational status, 72 hours. Ford looked at the countdown timer that appeared on the display. "We don't have 72 hours. "No," Wade agreed, picking up what looked like an antique pistol from a nearby storage locker. "We need to hold this facility until the ship is ready. Are you with me, Lieutenant?" Ford unholstered his own standard-issue sidearm. It felt inadequate for what lay ahead, but he nodded firmly. For Earth. As they prepared to defend humanity's secret, deep beneath Triton's icy surface, the first of many dormant warships began to stir from a centuries-long sleep. The Viridians moved with military precision. 6 armored figures descended from their scout ship, weapons drawn. Through the facility's external cameras, Ford watched them scan the area, quickly finding the hidden entrance that he and Wade had used hours earlier. "They'll be here in 10 minutes, Ford said. Wade worked quickly at the command console. "I've sealed the main access shaft, but they'll cut through eventually. We need more time." The display showed the activation progress of the command ship Defiance. Systems were coming online one by one, but far too slowly. 68 hours remained until full activation. "Can we speed it up?" Ford asked. "The systems are following safety protocols established centuries ago. Override codes would require multiple command descendants." Wade's fingers flew across the controls. "But maybe we can activate specific systems early. Weapons, for example." A new alert flashed across the screen. "Incoming transmission," the facility's computer announced. "Source, Earth Command." Wade and Ford exchanged surprised looks. "Accept transmission," Wade ordered. The screen flickered, showing the face of a man in an Earth Defense Force uniform. His features were haggard, his eyes tired. "This is Captain Samuel Palmer of the EDF Intrepid. I'm looking for Lieutenant Ryan Ford." "I'm here, Captain." Ford stepped forward. "With Dr. Wade." "Good. We don't have much time. The Viridians have placed Admiral Reeves under house arrest and are systematically dismantling Earth's defense forces. Commander Martinez managed to send us coordinates before he was detained. We've slipped past the blockade, but we have Viridian pursuers." "How far out are you?" Wade asked. 3 hours from Neptune, but we've detected a Viridian scout already at your location." "They're cutting through our defenses now," Ford confirmed. Palmer's expression hardened. "Hold your position. We'll deal with the scout when we arrive." "Captain, we've found something here. A hidden fleet. Operation Ararat." Ford quickly explained their discovery. Palmer's eyes widened. "So the old stories were true?" "My grandfather served with Admiral Wade. He always hinted there was more to Earth's defense than we knew. The command ship is activating, but it will take almost 3 days," Wade explained. "We don't have that much time." "The Intrepid is a small vessel, but we're armed," Palmer said. "We'll buy you the time you need." The transmission cut off suddenly. "They're jamming communications," Wade said. "The Viridians must be close." They heard it then, a cutting sound from the sealed access shaft. The Viridians were burning through. "We need weapons," Ford said. Wade led him to a storage area where they found more than the antique pistol she had grabbed earlier. Inside were weapons unlike any Ford had seen in Earth's arsenal, sleek rifles with power cells that glowed with blue energy. "Prototype weapons," Wade explained, handling one with familiarity. "Designed to penetrate conquered shielding. My great-grandfather showed me how to use these in simulation." "Will they work after all this time?" Wade checked the power readings. "They're still at full charge. The engineers who built this place planned for the long term." They positioned themselves with clear views of the entrance, using ancient supply crates as cover. The cutting sound grew louder. "What's the plan if we survive this?" Ford asked quietly. "Complete the awakening sequence. Contact the other facilities. Reveal the truth to Earth. And start a war with the conquered?" Wade looked at him seriously. "The conquered started this war when they decided to treat us as subjects rather than equals. Our ancestors gave us the means to fight back." The entrance burst open in a shower of sparks and molten metal. The first Viridian soldier stepped through, scanner in hand. Wade fired without hesitation. A pulse of blue energy struck the Viridian directly in the chest. The alien's personal shield flared briefly before failing completely. The soldier collapsed. The other Viridians pulled back, clearly surprised by the weapon's effectiveness. "Standard conquered shields can't block the frequency," Wade explained. "That's why our ancestors developed these weapons. They knew conventional arms would be useless." The Viridians changed tactics, firing blindly into the room from cover. Energy bolts struck around Ford and Wade, forcing them to duck lower. "We can't hold them off forever," Ford said. "We don't need forever, just long enough for Palmer to arrive." The battle continued in bursts of fire and moments of tense silence. Ford managed to hit a second Viridian, but the aliens were learning to stay back, using their superior numbers to keep Wade and Ford pinned down. A direct hit on their cover sent Ford scrambling to a new position. As he moved, a Viridian bolt caught him in the leg. He fell, crying out in pain. Wade fired rapidly, forcing the aliens back long enough to pull Ford behind a new barrier. His leg was badly burned. The flesh charred where the energy weapon had struck. "Can you move?" she asked, tearing a strip of fabric to bind the wound. "Not well," he admitted through gritted teeth. A new sound reached them, a deep rumble that seemed to come from below their feet. The floor vibrated slightly. "Something's happening," Ford said. Wade checked the console on her wrist. Her eyes widened. "The Defiance. It's beginning primary engine tests. The activation sequence must have reached a new phase." The Viridians seemed to notice the change too. Their commander barked orders in their clicking language, and their attacks became more aggressive. "They know something's happening," Ford said. "They're trying to take the facility before." He was cut off by a massive explosion from above. The entire facility shook, dust and debris raining from the ceiling. The Viridian attack stopped. "What was that?" Ford asked. Wade checked her console again, this time smiling. "The Intrepid has arrived. They're engaging the Viridian scout." Above them, a battle raged between the small Earth patrol ship and the Viridian scout. Though the Intrepid was outgunned, Captain Palmer was a skilled tactician. He used Neptune's gravity and Triton's atmosphere to gain advantages where he could. In the facility, Wade took advantage of the distraction to access more of the command systems. "If I can bring the defensive systems online early, we might be able to help Palmer." As she worked, Ford kept watch on the Viridians, who were now communicating urgently with their ship. Suddenly, they began retreating toward the exit. "They're pulling back," Ford said. "Palmer must be winning," Wade said hopefully. The truth was more complicated. The Viridians weren't retreating, they were regrouping. From his position, Ford could see them setting up what looked like a portable energy cannon. "Wade, they're bringing in heavy weapons." Before she could respond, the facility shook again, harder this time. Warning lights flashed across Wade's console. "The Intrepid's been hit badly," she reported grimly. They're losing altitude, heading toward Triton's surface. Ford watched in horror as the console showed the Earthship's desperate trajectory toward the moon. They're going to crash. No, Wade said, understanding dawning on her face. They're not crashing. They're ramming the Viridian ship. The impact came seconds later, a massive explosion that rocked the entire facility. Alarms blared as structural integrity warnings flashed across every screen. When the shaking stopped, Ford dragged himself to the external camera displays. Where two ships had been, there was now only debris raining down on Triton's icy surface. Palmer sacrificed the Intrepid, he said quietly. And everyone aboard. Wade's face showed her grief, but her hands never stopped working the controls. Their sacrifice won't be in vain. The Viridians in here are cut off from reinforcements now. The rumbling from below grew stronger. On the main display, the activation countdown for the Defiance had jumped forward dramatically. The ship's systems detected the threat, Wade explained, wonder in her voice. It's initiating emergency protocols. Activation time is now 12 hours. Ford looked toward the entrance where the Viridians were still setting up their energy cannon. Will we last 12 hours against that? As if in answer, a new alert sounded. A mechanical voice announced, Facility defense systems online, threat detected, initiating countermeasures. Hidden panels in the walls slid open, revealing automated defense turrets that immediately targeted the Viridian position. Blue energy pulses, the same type as their handheld weapons, lanced out, catching the aliens by surprise. Our ancestors thought of everything, Wade said with a grim smile. As the facility's defenses engaged the remaining Viridians, Wade helped Ford to the main console. Together they watched as more systems on the Defiance came online. Deep beneath them, humanity's hidden fleet was awakening after centuries of silence. 12 hours, Ford said. And then what? And then, Wade replied, her eyes fixed on the display showing dozens of other hidden facilities throughout the solar system. We show the conquered who they're really dealing with. Admiral Catherine Reeves paced the small confines of her house arrest. The Viridians had placed her in her own home, but the guards outside and the monitoring devices inside made it as much a prison as any cell. Through her window, she could see a Viridian patrol ship hovering over the city, its weapon systems clearly visible, a constant reminder of Earth's new status. Her home communication system chimed. Expecting another Viridian demand, she was surprised to see Commander Nicole Bennett's face on the screen. Bennett had been her second-in-command before the Viridian occupation. Admiral, we don't have much time, Bennett said quickly. The Viridians are distracted by something happening in the outer system. This channel is secure, but only for a few minutes. What's happening? Reeves asked. We've lost contact with a Viridian scout near Neptune. They've diverted forces to investigate, and we've intercepted fragments of an emergency signal from an Earth vessel, the Intrepid. Palmer's ship? What was he doing near Neptune? Following your orders, apparently. Something about finding Dr. Wade and Lieutenant Ford. Reeves felt a surge of hope. Have you heard anything from them directly? Nothing clear, but there's something else. Bennett lowered her voice. Strange energy readings are coming from multiple locations in the outer system. The Viridians are scrambling to identify the sources. Operation Ararat, Reeves whispered. They found it. Ma'am? Commander, I need you to gather our remaining loyal officers. Be discreet, but be ready. Things are about to change. Change how? Before Reeves could answer, the communication cut off abruptly. The front door to her home burst open and Viridian soldiers rushed in. Admiral Reeves, their leader said through his translator. You are being transferred to a more secure facility. You have violated the terms of your confinement. As they led her away, Reeves noticed something unusual. The Viridians seemed rushed, almost nervous. Their normally methodical movements were hurried, their communication terse. Something had them worried. Far from Earth, beneath Triton's frozen surface, the command center hummed with activity. The facility's automated systems had repelled the Viridian attack, and now Wade and Ford worked to understand the full capabilities of Operation Ararat. The Defiance will be ready in 2 hours, Wade announced, checking the countdown. But we've got a new problem. Ford, his wounded leg bandaged with medical supplies from the facility's stores, joined her at the main console. "What is it?" "Viridian. Reinforcements. A battlecruiser has entered Neptune's orbit. They must have sent it when they lost contact with the scout." The display showed the massive Viridian vessel. It dwarfed the scout ship that Palmer had destroyed, its weapons capable of vaporizing the entire facility with a single volley. "They haven't detected us yet," Wade said. "The facility's shielding is still working, but once the Defiance activates fully, they'll know something's here." Wade nodded grimly. "We need to contact the other facilities. If they're all activated, at different times the Viridians can pick them off one by one. We need coordination." "But we still can't reach Earth," Ford pointed out. "Not directly. But look at this." Wade brought up a new display showing a network of communication relays. The Ararat system has its own communication network, completely separate from standard channels. If we can access it. She worked quickly, her fingers dancing across the ancient controls. "There," she exclaimed as new data flooded the screens. "We're connected to the network." Messages began appearing, some automated, others clearly from humans. Throughout the solar system, other facilities like theirs were responding to emergency protocols. Other descendants of the original project leaders, people like Wade, had received the activation signals and were reporting in. "They're all waking up," Ford said in awe. "Not just in our solar system." Wade pointed to signals coming from beyond Neptune. "There are outposts in the Kuiper Belt, even some in the Oort cloud, and look." She highlighted several signals that seemed to originate from nearby star systems. "The project went further than I imagined." The largest signal came from Mars. A message appeared from someone identifying themselves as Major Olivia Clark, a descendant of one of the original project commanders. She reported that a major Ararat facility beneath Mars's southern ice cap was activating a fleet of smaller vessels, dozens of them designed for close combat support. "We need a plan," Ford said. "A coordinated response." Wade opened a channel to all connected facilities. "This is Dr. Allison Wade, descendant of Admiral Franklin Wade, transmitting from Triton Command. The Viridians have occupied Earth and are moving to secure the outer system. We have activated the Defiance and request all facilities begin emergency Protocol Alpha 7. Confirmations came in quickly. Throughout the solar system, hidden bases were coming to life, activating ships and weapons that had waited patiently for this moment. "What's Alpha 7? Ford asked. "Full military deployment," Wade explained. "My great-grandfather mentioned it. A protocol for when all diplomatic options have failed." Ford looked troubled. "Are we ready for this? To fight the entire Concord?" "We're not fighting the entire Concord. Not yet. First, we deal with the Viridians, show them and Earth what we're truly capable of." The facility shook suddenly. Above them, the Viridian battlecruiser had begun bombarding Triton's surface, systematically searching for the source of the unusual energy readings they'd detected. "They're getting closer," Ford warned. "It doesn't matter," Wade said confidently. "Look, the main display showed the status of the Defiance. All systems were now at 98% readiness." A new message flashed. "Docking tube connected. Command center personnel transfer authorized." "It's ready for us," Wade said. "We need to board now." She helped Ford to his feet, supporting him as they made their way to a section of the facility they hadn't explored before. A massive airlock door slid open, revealing a brightly lit tunnel stretching downward. "The ship is directly beneath us," Wade explained as they entered the tunnel, built into a cavity inside Triton itself. They descended in a transport pod that moved swiftly through the tunnel. When the doors opened, they stood on the bridge of the Defiance. The ship's command center was nothing like the cramped bridges of Earth's patrol vessels. It was vast, with stations for dozens of crew members, all currently unmanned. Holographic displays filled the air, showing the ship's status, the position of the Viridian battlecruiser, and the activation status of other Ararat vessels throughout the system. "Welcome aboard, descendants," the ship's artificial intelligence greeted them. "The Defiance awaits your command." Wade helped Ford to the captain's chair. "You're the ranking military officer here," she said. "This should be your honor." Ford looked around at the bridge, at the technology that surpassed anything he had trained on. I don't know how to command a vessel like this. The ship will help. You. Its systems were designed to operate with minimal crew if necessary. Wade took the science officer's position. We just need to make the decisions. What's our first move? Ford thought for a moment, then straightened in the chair. Ship, what is your combat readiness status? All weapon systems at full capacity. Shield generators at 98% and rising. Main engines ready for ignition. Ford nodded. Then our first move is to show ourselves. Send a message to the Viridian battlecruiser. Tell them. He paused, then smiled grimly. Tell them humanity declines, their offer of protection. As Wade relayed the message, the Defiance's engines powered up. Deep within Triton, ice melted and vaporized as the massive warship prepared to reveal itself to the galaxy after centuries of waiting. In Earth orbit, Viridian ships suddenly detected new energy signatures appearing throughout the solar system. Their carefully laid plans were about to face a force they never knew existed. Triton's surface erupted in a massive plume of ice and rock. The Viridian battlecruiser backed away, its sensors overwhelmed by the sudden energy surge. From the frozen moon, a massive shape emerged, sleek and powerful, nearly twice the size of the Viridian vessel. On the bridge of the Defiance, Ford watched as the view screens showed their ship rising into space. The vessel moved with surprising grace for its size, its engines glowing with blue energy, unlike the reddish hue of Concord. Drives. Viridian vessel is powering weapons, Wade reported from her station. They're targeting us. Raise shields, Ford ordered. The words felt strange in his mouth. Commands for a warship that had supposedly never existed. Shields at full power, the ship's computer confirmed. Weapons ready. The Viridian battlecruiser fired first. Energy beams lanced toward the Defiance, striking its shields. The human vessel shuddered slightly, but its defenses held. Shield integrity at 92%, Wade announced. Their weapons are strong, but not as effective as they should be. Our ancestors designed these shields specifically to counter Concord weapons, Ford said. Return fire. Target their weapon systems only. The Defiance responded, firing precise. Beams that sliced through the Viridian ship's shields as if they weren't there. The battlecruiser's main weapon array exploded in a shower of debris. Direct hit, Wade confirmed. Their weapons are disabled. Ford opened a communication channel. Viridian vessel, this is Lieutenant Ryan Ford of Earth Defense Force, commanding the Earth warship Defiance. Your weapons have been neutralized. Withdraw from Neptune space immediately. The Viridian commander's face appeared on screen, his silvery features twisted with shock and anger. This is impossible. Humans do not possess this technology. You're looking at evidence to the contrary, Ford replied calmly. This ship and others like it have existed since before your Concorde found Earth. We kept them hidden, waiting for the day when your true intentions became clear. The Concord Council will learn that humanity is not the junior partner you believed us to be. Ford interrupted. Now withdraw, or we will be forced to destroy your vessel. The Viridian ship turned slowly and began moving away from Neptune. They're sending transmissions to their fleet, Wade warned, calling for reinforcements. Let them, Ford said. It's time for the rest of the solar system to wake up too. Across the solar system, hidden Ararat facilities were revealing themselves. Near Mars, a dozen sleek destroyers emerged from beneath the red planet's southern ice cap. From within the asteroid belt, mining ships that had been disguised as ordinary. Rock suddenly transformed, weapon systems extending from previously hidden compartments. Even Earth's moon held surprises, as defense platforms activated in craters that had been thought empty for centuries. On Earth, Commander Bennett was coordinating the resistance when her communication system chimed with an unfamiliar signal. The face that appeared belonged to a woman she had never seen before. Commander Bennett? I'm Dr. Allison Wade, transmitting from the warship Defiance near Neptune. We've begun activating Operation Ararat throughout the system. Bennett's eyes widened. The Admiral was right, you found it. More than found it. We're using it. But we need to coordinate our efforts. The Viridians will be sending their main fleet toward Earth soon. Bennett quickly brought Wade up to speed on the situation. The Viridian occupation forces were in disarray, suddenly receiving urgent messages from their command. Their previously confident demeanor had given way to confusion. They know something's happening, but not what, Bennett explained. Admiral, Reeves has been moved to their orbital command platform. We're planning a rescue operation, but we may be able to help with that, Wade interrupted. The Mars facility has launched its fleet. They can reach Earth in hours. The Viridian response came more quickly than anyone expected. A jump point opened near Earth, and a massive fleet emerged, 30 battlecruisers and countless smaller vessels. The Viridian High Command had decided to secure their most valuable asset before dealing with the unexpected threat in the outer system. High Commander Xylex stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as Earth grew larger in the view screen. He had been summoned directly from the conquered capital when news of the Neptune incident reached them. Status of the human defenses, he demanded. Minimal resistance, Commander, his officer reported. Their small patrol ships are no threat to our fleet. And the anomalous vessel detected at Neptune? Still there, but too far away to interfere. Our forces can secure Earth long before it could possibly arrive. Xylex nodded, satisfied. Whatever secret weapon the humans had hidden, it would not save them now. He was wrong. As the Viridian fleet approached Earth orbit, space itself seemed to ripple. Jump points, smaller than the massive one the Viridians had used, but dozens of them, opened all around Earth. From these points emerged ships of unfamiliar design. Human ships. Some were massive dreadnoughts that matched the Defiance in size. Others were smaller, faster vessels that moved with incredible agility. All bore the same blue energy signatures that indicated technology outside the Conquered's understanding. Admiral Reeves watched this development from her cell on the Viridian command platform. The guards had fled, leaving monitors active, and she witnessed humanity's hidden fleet reveal itself at last. On the Defiance, Ford and Wade received updates from throughout the system. The Earth defense is underway, Wade reported. The Mars fleet arrived first, followed by vessels from the outer system that use the Ararat jump technology. What about us? Ford asked. We've received coordinates for a direct jump to Earth. The ship says it's ready. Ford nodded. Then let's join the battle. The Defiance's engines flared as the massive warship accelerated away from Neptune. Moments later, it disappeared into a jump point of its own. Near Earth, the battle had begun. The Viridian fleet, though larger in numbers, found itself facing technology they couldn't counter. Human ships moved through their formation with impunity, their weapons cutting through Viridian shields, their own defenses shrugging off return fire. When the Defiance arrived, emerging from its jump point directly behind the Viridian flagship, the battle's outcome was no longer in doubt. High Commander Xylex, Ford broadcast on an open channel. This is Lieutenant Ford of the Earth warship Defiance. Your fleet is surrounded and outmatched. Surrender your forces and release all human prisoners. There was a long pause before Xylex's reply came. How is this possible? Your species was pre-space flight when we found you. We were cautious, Ford explained. Our ancestors saw the signs of interstellar civilizations and prepared accordingly. While we welcomed the conquered openly, we always kept a backup plan. In the silence that followed, Wade approached Ford. The other Ararat facilities are reporting in. We have over 200 vessels operational throughout the system now, with more awakening hourly. Ford nodded, then addressed Xylex again. The terms of our relationship with the Conquered are about to change, Commander. Earth will no longer be classified as a juvenile race. We will have equal standing, or we will have no standing at all. In the end, the Viridians had no choice but to withdraw. Their fleet, once so imposing, limped away from Earth under the watchful eyes of humanity's hidden guardians. Admiral Reeves, freed from the Viridian command platform, took her rightful place on the bridge of the Defiance. As Earth's cities celebrated, below she looked out at the assembled fleet, ships built by ancestors who had foreseen this day centuries ago. What happens now? Ford asked her. Now, Reeves said with a smile, we negotiate with the Concord Council as equals. And if they're wise, they'll agree to our terms. Wade joined them, carrying new reports from facilities throughout the system. The Ararat network extends further than we realized. There are outposts in nearly a dozen nearby star systems, all reporting ready status. Our ancestors thought of everything, Reeves said. No, Wade corrected her. They thought of us. They built all this not for themselves, but for generations they would never meet. They trusted that when the time came, we would know what to do. As the Defiance took up position above Earth, its blue engines glowing against the darkness of space, humanity looked to the stars with new eyes. No longer junior partners in a galaxy of ancient powers, but equals with a voice that could no longer be ignored. The day humanity exposed their hidden fleet was the day everything changed.